Much of the election buzz, especially because of last night's game, played out on Twitter, where candidates and voters alike have been weighing in throughout the campaign until well after the polls closed. For more on that impact, let's go to Christopher Doyle from Twitter Canada, who is here with me right now. And that's what I got yesterday. I put out yesterday, how are you getting your election results? And most people said, I'm watching the game and I've got my phone in my hand and I'm watching Twitter.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's a perfect second screen companion when you're watching live television. And last night, I mean, it was an amazing night of breaking news, right? So you had, probably literally half the country watching the Toronto Blue Jays play. And of course, a new prime minister being elected. And Canadians were tweeting in droves. So there was more than 770,000 tweets about the election last night. And, Justin Trudeau actually had the share of conversation on that. Probably not surprising, with 60% of the tweets mentioning him. So
it was Trudeau, and then I presume it was Harper?
And then it was Stephen Harper. And really interesting when you look at the Twitter data is you see these spikes as moments happen. So as Tom Mulcair goes on and gives his speech, you see mentions of him spiking. And then the Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, does the same thing. And of course, the country's awaiting Justin Trudeau's first words, and Twitter goes crazy again.
A lot of people are still a little unsure about social media. A lot of people still are on the outside, and so they will sit at home and they hear, everybody's getting their information on Twitter. When there's a major event, how do people get in the conversation? How can they follow? I mean, they go to their Twitter account, it's not happening there.
Yeah, it's a great question, and what we really encourage people to do is to use those hashtags. So they've sort of become ubiquitous now, but it's really the way that you're going to find that most recent information. So last night there was a number of different hashtags trending. The main one for the election was Election 42, ELXN 42. And if you went there, you could see all the latest breaking news. You can also create lists on Twitter, which is a great way to follow all the influencers, all the television personalities and pundits, journalists. So that's another great way to get all the information you want. And of course, following those news outlets that are going to be breaking the news all night long. So that's what Canadians were doing last night.
That's right. And you use the term second screen, too, because we use the second screen a lot here on BT. It's very effective. And we find that people now, when we say second screen, a lot of people are watching this, and sometimes this. So it's a matter of they're not just concentrating on this. So they're getting their information. A lot of people were watching election coverage on TV last night, but at the same time had that in their hand.
That's exactly right. We actually find our research shows that a Twitter viewer is actually a more engaged viewer, which is really, really interesting. So exactly as you described, they're watching live television and they're getting the second screen of information as they're watching that's giving them sort of an additive value as to what they're watching on television. And of course, Twitter is the place for breaking news. So you're getting news in an instant, which is quite amazing.
And then following the election, even this morning, I mean, I'm looking at my account and I'm seeing the reaction.
Yes.
And immediately as it happens. So you can still join the conversation by going to ELXN 42.
That's right.
And you're getting the reaction this morning. Like it or not, do you like the new Prime Minister? Do you not? Do you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, when you talk about hashtags as well, we took a look at what were some of the other trending hashtags last night, and two of the top were real change, which was interesting because Justin Trudeau, when we actually tracked the most mentioned issues with each leader, he owned the change issue leading up to last night's election. And then we also saw Come Together with the Blue Jays. We saw that make the list as well, as the Jays got an important win. So it was a big night on Twitter.
So what happened with the Jays and with the election last night with Twitter coverage? Who won?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we were watching it and actually tweeted out a Twitter reverb chart, which was watching this almost in real time as the conversation was spiking. Election, there was more volume for election, but you could see when Josh Donaldson, bringer of rain on Twitter, hits that home run, you see a brief spike where the Blue Jays take over, and then from there it's all election.
All right. Christopher Doyle, thank you very much coming in from at Twitter Canada.